All right, let's watch this. He's on it right now. Oh, okay. There you go. He's on my channel too.
It's so hard to get an actual group. Why would you not boost? There's so much in that. There's so much.
Because you don't want to pay gold, want to play the actual fucking game. What?
Yeah, well, if you're a goals-oriented player, you're handy your boosting. More people are boosting than playing the game.
Oh no! Surely to God. How big is this boosting problem? Like, actually, legit. Like, actually, how big is the boosting problem? Because it's that thing. I am in such a fucking bubble, dude. I play WoW with you and the guild.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, man.
I
think that's true for a lot of players. Like, for real. I think that's true for a lot of WoW players that they play in bubbles. They really do. And when they defend the game, they defend the community, they're talking about their bubble.
General chat, I don't like a trade. See the Premier Group Finder? Other than our guild trying to find a pug for something, not used it since Legion. Like, legit. Yeah. Because I just decided I'm not playing this game with bugs. I'm going to play this game with, as they say in another MMO, statics. So how bad is this problem? Chat, let us know.
Yeah,
like,
let's see. Big, very big, apocalyptic, very big problem, huge problem. I just bought Mythic Raid mounts. All the largest guilds do it. Boosting's happening in guilds. It's very bad, harder to find a group because of this.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But of course in PvP, where it really matters.
Oh, it's extreme. It's significantly worse in PvP because it literally impacts the other player's experience. Where you can kind of argue like, oh, well, it doesn't matter in PvE because, you know, if someone wants to boost, that's not harming anyone else's experience. Except for the fact that it, like, for anyone who's trying to pug, or anyone who's trying to do anything like that, it is such a nightmare. Wow. It's like...
I think that's true amongst, like, every MMO. Like, for real. That's one of the... Like, when they first added story skips and job skips to Final Fantasy XIV, this was the primary argument that people made against it. Not that they're jealous of the people skipping the stuff they did. They said that the public experience or the pub group experience is going to decline dramatically. And I think initially it did. A lot of people went to try Final Fantasy. They got the boosters and they just didn't know what they were doing. There were buttons everywhere. They were headbanging the desks. They didn't know what they were doing. And over time, those people kind of quit. And boosting was kind of left to people who just wanted to raid on other data centers, right? So you've already got 80s on your main server, but you want to go raid on Aether or you want to go raid on Crystal. So you go over there, you boost a white mage, and then you raid with your friends over there. So I think that's kind of where boosting got, like, when it hit its stride in Final Fantasy, it kind of like got to that point. And now we're kind of seeing a spike again in boosting for Final Fantasy XIV again as more WoW players come over and they've been boosting in WoW. They're like, oh, they got a boost in this game. Let me do it.
This is like almost everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
Oh, Quinn. Maybe we should have a separate... Yeah, we'll have a separate video talking about Quinn. Oh, my goodness.
Lesser problem in PvE, but the thing with PvP then, I think it was Dakor. I don't know if this made it into one of our guides, but it was just Dakor saying that, like, if you want to climb... No, we did. It was in our gearing guide that's coming out on, like, Monday or something. But if you want to push rating for the sake of getting some PvP gear, well... You do it early before the boosters come in and ruin what a bracket means.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me that is something that's going on. There must be and then it's that thing where technically they've I don't know if it's supposed to be an anti-boosting measure, the whole requiring wins at a rating.
Yeah, it almost certainly is.
But if that is an anti-boosting measure, it's actually one that plays straight into the hand of boosters because it's just giving them repeat custom. My brain is turned into jelly and it's mushing out my ears.
Yeah.
I'm kind of not... I'm following most of what they're saying, but not all of it. They're using WoW terminology, so I might need translations.
There's the level... There's someone says... M.Real says, between boosting and Twitch carry streamers, you can get Keystone Master and ahead of the curve without ever knowing any dungeons. And I think that's actually, like... Outside of the initial problem that you're going to have with boosting, where it clogs up your trade chat, it clogs up your Premier Group Finder, you're going to have this cultural switch, this cultural movement over time, where players don't actually play the game, but all of the, like, cosmetics they value will be behind that. But you've got WoW token, so you can just go and buy boosts. You can literally swipe your credit card and get like heroic kills, and
that's sad, man. That's really sad. I mean, I know a lot of people like it doesn't affect me. It does, especially in the competitive game. WoW is ultra competitive. At its very core, it's very competitive, and it kind of just a lot of accomplishments in MMOs come from your achievements, your titles, your mounts that you get, your cosmetics that you get. You show off that you accomplished something, and it just absolutely just undermines it when you look at somebody with a sword and your first thought is, oh, they boosted. And that person probably spent months and months working on that stuff. And I keep saying this, a lot of part about MMOs is that you want to show off your achievements. It's a lot of look what I got and look what I worked hard for, right? That's the satisfaction that comes with it, especially in competitive MMOs. And when people can just break out their credit card and buy it, it really, that's why people don't like pay to win games, for real. Because it just nullifies that. So the whole satisfactory part or satisfaction from WoW is ruined. Unless you're in a bubble. Going back to our previous point, a lot of players play WoW in a bubble. They only play with their guildies. They're having fun. So everything's perfect.
It's like that problem's not direct, but it's so obvious. Yeah. And it's kind of awkward because it implies that people aren't enjoying the game as much as they're playing it more for the extrinsic reason of the cosmetics and the achievements than the intrinsic, I want to play the game. Which is kind of fair for like players who aren't at that difficulty level.
How much does a boost cost?
I was looking this up the other day for research, not that I'd ever do it, but
there's loads of people are
fairly cheap, fairly cheap.
In spite of there being actual footage of my character killing Sire Denathrius, there's lots of conspiracy theories that the heroic boost is in fact, or the heroic kill is in fact a boost.
I mean, if your heroic kill was a boost, where's my gold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was third in the DPS meter. Could have been worse. Actually, that's the new guild rule.
Yeah.
That's the new guild rule. If you're below par, you've got to pay the rest of the raid. Yeah, we've just worked it out. Perfect.
Yeah, so like boosts are fairly...
Dude, this Amaranth theme...
fairly cheap.
Is that a lo-fi Amaranth theme playing in the background that's making my ears tickle? That sounds amazing.
All in. Especially considering WoW token and general gold inflation. If people are still trucking on big amounts of gold.
I can't even listen to what they're saying. I'm liking this music.
And stuff like that, and Legion stuff. But now
that's so wild. You could still be going on your your WoD gold because you got 10 characters or garrisons and just went completely mad. Oh, I kind of did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have not looked at trade chat in months. I disable it every character I'm on. I immediately.
So is that where people advertise in trade chat, or is it like a party finder type thing, like in Final Fantasy? Where do people actually go and find these things for sale? It's in both. Okay.
I turned it off the chat window because there's no value in it. It's purely people's advertisement, and that is. It's completely untenable as far as the game's concerned, and I think it's weird. It's one of the biggest problems that I think is extremely difficult to address.
From
Blizzard's end, but it also
in this one. How do you?
It's also a nightmare because it completely devalues anything, and one of the things that's
what I'm saying.
Kind of funny is how easy it is to get the boost really cheap. Because of how many people you can carry. It's a case where, if you've got a couple of raiders, if you've got like 10 mythic raiders, you could probably take, maybe less, you could take a full group of like an extra 20 boosted people through Nathia Heroic because the damage is you kill it in the same speed you would a regular kill because these people have so much stuff. And it's just kind of...
it's interesting because there is like a little bit of me that's all just like, well, this is a virtual world. We should be able to sell services in exchange for currency.
Yeah.
But then there is just that weird thing.
Like that, I'm the same way. If you want to do it for gil or gold, I'm okay with that. I mean, we used to. I remember paying gil in Final Fantasy XI for stuff like this. Somebody like, I'll go and, farm this for you or help you with this, or I'll tank while you do this. I'm like, and I'll give them some gil. That's fine, right? But as soon as that stuff is tied to cash,
sort of thing of like how it ends up impacting the game overall. And that's what really gets me. Because I think about games like RuneScape and EVE Online that have got vibrant player economies, and I think like, oh shit, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
This is lovely. But then it's like, as soon as it's in the context of WoW, it's like really weird and fucky. And I think that's because World of Warcraft is not a virtual world. It's not an MMORPG in the way that RuneScape and EVE Online are. I think a better way to think about boosting in WoW is probably something a little bit like Destiny 2. And if Destiny 2 had like in-game currency that you could kind of, analogous to WoW Gold, and then it would feel like a little bit of a weird violation of,
really,
the contract or like the expectation of like, you got this because of skill. Yeah. So I guess that's what's going on. And then WoW Token just juices the whole thing because turn your IRL cash into an achievement.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because
come on, they can't. There's got to be somebody at Blizzard going, all right, guys, we may have taken this a little bit too far. The route that they've generated, the path that they've created to just take your credit card to in-game achievements, they've got to do something about that. Like, somebody there has to have some kind of a heart or a soul, right? It can't just keep going.
I don't know.
But it's weird because, like, even if we remove WoW Token from the equation, would Matt or Michael find boosts more palatable? A little bit.
Yes, but there's kind of two angles to that. If WoW Token was removed, then you could get RMT, and you could nuke anyone even close to RMT.
So it's like we frown and we demean anything that's pay to win, and we immediately dismiss it. A Korean MMO gets ported to West, everybody screams pay to win. These are WoW players too, screaming, "Oh, it's pay to win. I don't want to play that." From what I'm seeing from this and what you guys are telling me, WoW is one of the biggest offenders of being pay to win. Like, the WoW token is pay to win. So how in the world are you going to complain about Black Desert Online or some other Korean MMO that comes out that puts something really, really good in the cash shop that gives you power when you can do it in World of Warcraft?
And then the boost, like the actual just spend money for gold, would be a lot less of a problem. If they got rid of the token, and if they got rid of a lot of the bot problem, where people are just creating gold and inflating the shit out of the economy, if that was all sorted, the boost would be significantly less a problem. But now you can get now you can just go and buy gold that bots have made with your WoW token, and off you go. You're off to the races. You've got yourself your Nathri ahead of the curve, and then you can do whatever boosted people do with it. I mean, honestly, at this point,
the more I think about it, the more you have to be in a bubble to just not think this is bad. You have to be you just have to have your head in the sand and just say, no, that's not a big deal. Like, for real. Like, because I was kind of surprised. Like, it kind of shook me a little bit that it was happening in Final Fantasy XIV at the scale that it was. Because I know that Square Enix does a great job of banning RMTers all the time. They send out these communiques of how many thousands of RMTers they sell. So when I saw, or how RMTers they ban. So when I saw on a stream today on Work to Game how on Aether that people are advertising boosts in Party Finder, I'm like, I thought Square was banning these people. And then I went to check on Primal and they weren't there. So I think Square does do ban waves, and maybe people were just coming through with their alt accounts.
The quickest way for me to get to play, maybe not now because the patch is a couple days, but for the past couple weeks, the best way for me to literally play the game would be to buy a boost to get, I already have Curve my Paladin, so it doesn't make sense. But I want to do Nathri Heroic on my Monk. Yeah. The fastest way for me to get into Nathri Heroic on my Monk would be to boost Nathri Heroic or normal. Probably Heroic, because I can't imagine people are boosting normal. Get the gear from that boost, because I would give them extra gold or money to get gear funneled to me. Then I would have the gear to get invited to a group or accepted into a group where I can play the game. That's what I worked out in my head would be the most efficient way for me to get to play the game that I want.
Yeah, that's that weird thing of if you're so goals oriented, that you're kind of not interested in the journey, you're interested in the destination. There,
I'm stuck on that. I'm still trying to get past that previous point that we made about WoW being pay to win. Like I had no clue that it was that easy. I thought it was like people had to work through loopholes and, you know, do some roundabout stuff to get that token to power relationship. But apparently it's stupid easy.
Therefore, all your incentives are, you know, everything's aligned towards that destination. Therefore, because WoW token exists, and, you know, it's one of those things with WoW token, like, WoW token with your IRL job money is almost always going to beat farming in-game gold.
Definitely.
And there's a few reasons why, because, like, you know,
That's an inherent problem too, man. Like that.
currency. So, like,
How are people cool with
leveraging
this?
the average hourly rate of somebody here versus
No wonder
somebody
everybody's
in
coming
another
to Final
country.
Fantasy, man.
Some stuff going on there, and then, you know, there's loads of kids playing WoW. And when I was a kid playing WoW, getting in-game gold is like a really big thing for me because, you know, you're getting WoW, you don't have any gold. So I think there's loads of people there who are, you know, just farming stuff, doing all of that to get the gold, which then means the token, well, it just sort of inflates how far
The WoW token is not new either, man. It's been around a while. I remember when they first came out with it.
Generates WoW tokens is like,
So has this been going on for years now?
you know, it's so much larger, and it also does include a bunch of like younger people who are not, you know, like,
Oh
you know,
my
hitting
gosh.
25, 30, whatever, 35.
That's
getting more disposable
depressing.
income. So it's a very interesting thing. I actually do find this genuinely fascinating, but
It's fascinating, but as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the things people aren't looking at as a massive problem that's
What?
really hurting the user experience at World of Warcraft.
How? You've got to be in a bubble to say this is not a problem. Like, it is literally ruining the game.
And that is just like, it's all, this is going to sound insane, but what it feels to me like, it feels like it's the death throes of like a Korean MMO where it's all pay to win. It evokes that same feeling to me where it's just no one, like, so few people, especially later in the patch, are playing the game for the game's concerned. It's almost its own little self-inflating ecosystem of just boosters and boosters.
If this was a strictly PvE game, I could see why people wouldn't care as much. But World of Warcraft, to me, is the most competitive MMO out right now. You know why I say that? Because not only is it competitive in PvP, the PvE competitive nature of the game is insanely high. Insanely high, right? I mean, it's got the world's first stuff is like enormous. So it's just really it's difficult. I don't, because Final Fantasy XIV in comparison is very PvE oriented and much less competitive. And I think in general people don't care about pay to win when you have PvE as much as they do when there's another player or human involved. Like if somebody can swipe and instantly be better than me, that's usually a problem. But it sounds like in World of Warcraft, people just don't care.
These.
oh, it's so sad.
So I like it. That's a like me completely going like having a vague feeling and running with it. Maybe not necessarily completely connected to reality, but it's a feeling I get whenever I log in. And
I
just
know the
see
title of this
no
video.
one
Final Fantasy player can't believe WoW's pay to win.
playing it except for
With this
people, like,
face.
selling and buying. Like,
Yeah, that does
Yeah.
feel pretty rough.
Man, I'm actually shocked. I knew it existed because of the, you know, RMT exists in every MMO out there, right? There's some form of it. It always seeps through. When I say MMO, I mean MMOs, not like Elite Dangerous, which is not really an MMO, but like MMOs. So it seeps through. You know, there's like back channels, there's black markets. It always happens. But when it's sanctioned like this by Blizzard, and they're profiting from it, and they're not going to change it, and nobody cares, why would you want to be a part of that? I'm not trying to call people out or anything, but that doesn't sound very fulfilling. That sounds very hollow. And you feel, I think some people just may be trapped. Like, Like, should we go rescue people? I mean, it's not refugee time. It's like we need to go on we need to log into WoW and snatch people out on a rescue mission. This is crazy. Time to stage some interventions. I know some people that can't be intervented. They just can't. I know some people who can. But that's a great video, man. Thanks for showing me that. I had no idea. My eyes have been open. I really didn't know. Isn't that what Asmongold is doing, a WoW rescue mission? Listen, Asmon is just doing this thing, and people are taking from it what they will. And it's beautiful, because it depends on your perspective. He's helping a lot of people. He is. I'm not saying he isn't. But he's just playing a game and having fun. And I think people are looking at that in certain ways based on their situation. And it's kind of beautiful to watch. Because, you know, he is like... The Asmongold character, he purposely goes over the top with everything. But you gotta admit, it's entertaining. It is entertaining to watch. And he himself will tell you that, you know, that's not how he is all the time. But even with that, people are enjoying watching his experience, and it's making them rethink, hey, maybe I should go play some SWTOR, or maybe I should go play some Final Fantasy 14, or play some BDO, or, you know, it doesn't have to be Final Fantasy. Just don't be scared to leave WoW. Is what I'm thinking. I think people are really attached to it. Oh yeah, Eve did the same thing with skill point injectors. I agree. That was the beginning of the end. I agree. Skill point injectors were terrible. Like, you know, Plex was a thing in itself that was walking that line. Soon as they did skill points, it was just like, oh, well, I could just boost to be the best at everything. Even though it was like, oh, you need skill. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean anything. They still can have the best ship in the game with their wallet. You know? Exactly. Fly a Titan on new characters. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was the beginning and the end for me too, man. It took a lot out of the game. And like I said, Plex even was walking the line. Plex in itself was walking the line of Eve. But skill injectors are just, nah. It's probably why I haven't played in probably like over 5 years now. It's making people see that there's more out there than WoW, which can help the MMO genre as a whole. True. And I really think this is going to be an unsung hero, man. Like, I think Amazon is probably... Hold on, let's make this a video because this is a good idea.